An illegal spy agency discovers the theft of a prototype weapon. Derek, codename Confused Llama, and his handler, Frank, codename Majestic Vole, investigate the theft. A naive man with fanciful notions, Derek sets out on his inept journey to reclaim the weapon from villainous hands, unaware of the hidden tale following him. Enter the world of Confused Llama, A Spy's Tale, a short comedic spy thriller available on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Lead More In for a podcast exploring the worlds of movies, video games and TV shows. I'm your host Nate and today I'm joined by Chaz, Doug, Fergus and James. How's everybody doing today?
Hey man, yeah, not bad. Been catching up on Snowpiercer's releasing and Expanse as well. Need to get through that. Also Hearthstone dropped a new expansion recently and been trying to make something out of that.
I know I'm just finished episode 4 of The Expanse final season and wondering what they're gonna do. Yeah, it's gonna be, and I haven't watched the new season of Snowpiercer yet. I didn't finish the second season, so I think I'm gonna let the third season finish and then go back to it.
On my end, I've still kind of just casually working through Star Trek Next Generation, but I did last night. I finally watched the first Venom film. I rather liked, and so I'm looking forward to watching the second one. But I also recently topically watched Arcane. Finally got around to that. So
Yay!
Nice man. Always recommend that to people.
I can finally talk about it. I mean, yeah.
How did you find it?
It was really good, really compelling. Like a couple of tropes that I kind of want to jab on, but it doesn't take away from it being absolutely brilliant.
You can definitely tell they were getting a second season at the end of that first season. What I mentioned before, there was no way in hell they weren't getting a second season from how it ended.
Oh yeah, that was yeah. It was almost like the season felt like a prequel.
Yeah.
To or like an origin story or something, which I guess it is. It's just a whole like season of origin stories and stuff.
Definitely recommend it, people. Even if you've never seen League of Legends, just go into it. You could literally go into it cold and you have no issue at all. You'll actually probably want to go check out League of Legends or just the lore of it afterwards and see how it is. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
Today I've been mostly reading manga. I've been catching up with a manga called Though You May Burn to Ash, which is quite an interesting manga. Basically, a guy discovers that he really, really needs a large sum of cash. So an angel appears and says, "Do you want a large sum of cash?" And he says yes. And she takes him and a bunch of other people to Purgatory, where they all compete with each other in I guess it's quite like Squid Games.
I was just gonna say it sounds a lot like Squid Game.
It's very Squid Gamesy, but they're all in Purgatory and have to win the right to return to Earth with.
I wonder if Squid Game is Purgatory and we just don't know it yet.
It's a good metaphor for it, yeah.
I love the fact they're doing a Squid Game universe now as well. It's a whole thing now. They've confirmed.
What?
Yeah, they've said so season 2 is happening and it's been confirmed, but they said they're going to be exploring different sections of the Squid Game. Because to be fair though, I'm thinking about it, that could kind of work, to be honest, but because you could have season 2 doesn't have to be in the present day. It could be a prequel, and then there's an offshoot of what happens after season 1. Obviously, not going to spoil for people who haven't seen it yet. Definitely recommend it. But yeah, no. But on your manga front, Fergus, I really need to get back into my manga reading. To be honest,
there is some very interesting stuff out there.
It's just the time.
Yeah,
the time.
Had the day off today. So.
Oh yeah, no.
The time and the focus, I think.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, no, I definitely need that at the moment, especially with everything coming out now. It's ridiculous.
Isn't there so much going on? It feels like that for me. I feel like I've got so many good movies and TV shows I'm following, which is
I feel
nice.
I feel like I could, if I could just fill up all my free time with Star Wars media alone at the moment.
I love the fact that like a few years ago, as mentioned on the podcast before, I was one of those people known for watching like 30 different shows a week. And people went, "How the fuck do you do that?" And I look back at myself and I just want to slap myself in the face because I finish work now and I'm like, I could barely finish one podcast, which could be between 2.5 4 hours long. Double Toasted Chaz, as we mentioned before, that's they'd have like sometimes 4-hour shows, and I just put those on. I actually fell asleep watching one of the shows an hour in, and I woke up when they were just finishing 4 hours in, and I was like, okay, fair enough, fuck it then. But no, there's just so much to watch. James, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, thanks. I've literally just finished watching Disenchantment Part 4.
Oh, I
which-
need to get round to that.
Is that any good now? Like that's season 4 they're on, is it?
Controversially, I've always liked Disenchantment. I mean, it's not a patch on Futurama at all, but it's still decent. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's a fun ride. It's enjoyable. So
Yeah.
I almost think it's, in some cases, it's almost better from a story point, even if it's not as funny. Like, I think the humor often just misses, but I like the kind of overall story arcs of it.
That's an interesting thing to say because I feel like Futurama has some very, very compelling storylines in it. So quite high praise, I think, at least
I
in my opinion.
suppose the thing is, Futurama is very episodic, but this Disenchantment, there is a through line through the story, which
I
is
see. Okay, that's a big difference then. Yeah.
yeah.
And wondering how the Futurama revival is going to go into that and everything. Supposedly, John DiMaggio is still in negotiations to return, because I'll be honest with you, they can't replace him in that show, or they can't have a whole Bender dying and stuff like that, because he is, when you think about like Futurama, you do think of Bender, to be honest.
It would be very noticeable if they recast him. Very noticeable.
Oh yeah, no, very, very.
I mean, admittedly, like something you could do in Futurama, like if you needed to change the voice, you just hit him with a wrench once. His voice is different, and you just say, "Okay, right."
Oh
Right.
no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You totally could.
I'm still very conflicted about them bringing Futurama back, because in my mind, they ended the whole thing perfectly. I thought the very final episode we did was really good. So I'm basically very conflicted.
It's
I
like I
can't
was saying the
remember
other
what
day. You don't want it turned into The Simpsons, really. Just going on forever and ever just because they can.
Final episode is the one where Fry and Leela. It's a little bit tricky. Well, they basically get stuck in like outside of. Everybody freezes essentially apart from them, and they live out their whole life until they get old. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the whole world dies.
Wow, that's very lovely. Sort of, yeah. Jesus.
Again, I love this thing. Like in modern media, like the happy ending is where everybody dies.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think we need just some fun-filled, happy endings nowadays. I'll be honest with you. I'm actually quite the opposite. I don't want any more dark endings anytime soon. Like when I went to watch Jackass last week, just watching that was honestly such a breath of fresh air, to be honest, because okay, yeah, it is fucking stupid and I did almost throw up once, but yeah, it was a case of it was just nice to literally shut my brain completely off.
Yeah, I think what's so electric about Jackass is they are all having so much fun. It is infectious. Like they absolutely love the nonsense they're doing, like from the beginning. I think that's why it's like, why do we watch them doing these horrible things? It's like because they're so happy.
I was just going to say, I looked up how many seasons Futurama has, and it's actually more than I thought. It's 11, according to the site. So
It's already had one revival.
it's had a
hasn't
very
it?
good run. Yeah,
it's had multiple revivals.
Plus the movies.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm surprised they revived it, but then, yeah, I suppose that's
What's
a lot of what's
Hulu?
happening these days.
Disney now, so yeah, because Fox, isn't it? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But yes, people. So that was our lovely how our weeks have been. We're all knackered. We're all having a jolly good time coming on to the podcast today. But we bring the entertainment for you all out there. We bring the entertainment for you all out there. We will power through and give you that lovely entertainment. So yes, last week, people, we boomeranged back and forth with the idea of the influx of time loops and narratives. James obviously took charge on that. Well done again on that, man. That was pretty awesome. giving our take on all the properties coming out or our favorites in that genre and how it could have affected us in some personal ways, though, especially over the last few years, which it's definitely been interesting, to be honest. But, this week after the news, which we'll be getting into in just a moment, we will be looking at our dream video game adaptations in other media, because obviously we've got so many different adaptations coming out now from video games, and it's just getting better and better. And going into the news this week, it just seems like this was serendipitous, to be honest, because honestly, there's been so much announcements. And also it ties into what we will be releasing next Tuesday, which is a spoiler-filled discussion, a short spoiler-filled discussion for the Uncharted movie, which will definitely be interesting indeed. I'm sure we'll have some interesting conversations there. We won't spoil it too much. You'll have to see it, but I'll give you this take now. Okay. That's the review I'll be giving you at the moment. So yes, people, we are now going into the main news. So we will start off on the movie section this week, and probably the biggest announcement of the entire week, which just came out yesterday, to be honest, was Paramount Plus, which are just ramping up. They just went, fuck it, here is everything. They are doing Halo Season 2, already confirmed. That they've got to have some confidence. I mean, I also think that's going to be their sort of how Mandalorian was the flagship for Disney Plus. Halo is going to be their flagship, essentially.
That'll be cool. Wouldn't mind that. Obviously, Halo fan, so see how that goes. I hope it's good.
It worked for Xbox as a franchise, so they're trying to copy that model probably, and they've probably put some major money behind the production of the first series. He's probably already filmed the second series, or at least part of it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they are definitely taking into account like the fact that in regards to how this could work, they've obviously stated it's the Silver Timeline, as we've talked about before, and how it's its own thing. It's adapting it, and I'm fine with that. As they come out before it's even out and saying we're adapting it. It's not going to be a 1-to-1, and I'm fine with that completely. How the trailer was, I'm a bit concerned on a couple of parts, like the human covenant person.
Yeah, what the hell's that? We'll have to see if they've got a justification for it, but yeah.
Chaz is still surprised it's Porn Stash playing Master Chief.
Every time you say it, I keep forgetting.
That man is a beast, though. If you've ever seen American Gods, like the TV show,
It's on my list.
He plays the leprechaun in that, and yeah, he is fucking huge. I'm definitely interested to see where that goes, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, like, they announced Halo Season 2, because obviously they've got Transformers as well. I believe Paramount has Transformers, and they have Star Trek. They've just announced their new Star Trek movie with the cast coming back, like Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, and unfortunately Anton Yelchin won't be during this time because he passed away a few years ago, which is pretty sad, to be honest, because I thought he was actually one of the best parts of those movies. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping that maybe they might say either he's gone onto another crew just to keep his character alive and keep him in the universe, or in one of the Star Trek TV shows, they actually named a ship after another character. So I think that would be really interesting. Like, name a big ship, like meant him in the Star Trek universe as that. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty awesome to do. And I'm really hoping it's better than the last movie with the whole Beastie Boys. I don't know if you guys remember seeing that, like the Beastie Boys bit.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Didn't work for me. The episode 3, really.
Honestly, I didn't mind the concept of it, and I liked the idea how it tied back to the first film, how it was that song when you first see him. But yeah, it was just, and Idris Elba was underutilized in that film so badly, in my opinion. Like,
I mean, I was never the audience for those films anyway. Really, like what I like in Star Trek is sci-fi, and they just didn't focus on that. They were action quip movies, like very popcorn, which like
so not Star Trek, at least not for me. I grew up watching the original series, so yeah, I'm not the audience, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
How are you with Discovery then?
I haven't watched it yet.
Do you know what? After the first season, which is quite more like the new Star Trek films, they do keep the aesthetic like that to a degree, but they do try to go more into their own thing, essentially, which I think is quite good. I do recommend it.
I've seen one clip from Discovery which looks a bit fun, which is it's just the scenes of I think there's an episode where the universal translators fail, and I like that. Like that's some fun. But yeah, like I might try Discovery. Like I'm still working through next gen, as I say.
And Doug Jones is one of the main characters in that as a Commander Saru.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Oh, I have a lot of time. I have a lot of time for Doug Jones.
And he is quite amazing in the show, to be honest. He has like this whole story arc about his race. I think it's really awesome, and they do go to explore it, explore strange new ways and strange new things out there. That I definitely didn't mean to segue that, but yeah, I mean, it honestly keeps coming. We've got Sonic 3, the movie, already announced, and a Knuckles live action TV series.
You know, something that you said earlier kind of ticked off a thought I've been having in my head, where I feel like franchise owners these days are trying to make like universes for their franchises rather than release a thing, see how it does. Almost maybe a topic discussion for another day, but like there seems to be a lot of that happening. Maybe just because I'm paying more attention now that I'm on this podcast, but that's
I definitely get where you're coming from. I think it's a case of with how streaming platforms are becoming the big thing, and we will probably do an episode on that. People will streaming replace cinema, but it's a case of they're trying to get their big hitters out. They're trying to draw the crowds in to get this out, and I think putting this big stuff out there and building a world like how Netflix has got The Witcher now, when they're building up all that stuff, and their Witcher is their Lord of the Rings essentially, and ironically, Amazon has Lord of the Rings coming out, and you know they've got these big things going on, and I feel you are right, Chaz, in that sense of with these universes being built.
I was going to say this. I disagree that this isn't a new thing by any chance. Like I mean, there have been like I remember Sonic being an animated TV series when I was young. There were always books and comics of these things. The first Mario movie was ages ago, but that's the thing. Like video game movie adaptation is pretty synonymous with, I know, bad movies, and that I guess it's why we're talking about it today, because it feels like there's a bit of a change in the winds. Because something that's changed recently is definitely that I think writing is across movies, TV, and film is starting to get really good.
I think it's taken a while for the writers to find their feet about what people really want out of these films for video games, like straight up adaptations, or do you want to completely remove it from the video game world? And it's like adapting from a book. There's more to a game than you'll ever be able to translate in a 2-hour film. Like the cutscenes alone in some games are 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 hours. So trying to, convert that is hard.
I kind of, video game movies frustrate me, but I kind of disagree that it's hard to do a good video game movie. There's a lot of content, but you can pick and match. You got various different approaches. You could either set your own story, completely separate to the games, but set in the same world and same universe of the games, in which case you're not constrained to the same length. Or you'll just be very selective on the themes and that you choose. You don't have to encompass the whole story, just the key elements. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I do agree there, James. But I think it's a case of, I think you and Fergus are right to a degree, and Doug actually it goes centers around Doug's point. I think it's the age of people, the age of the writers now. So back then, we were dealing with people who weren't into video games, who weren't into all this stuff, and we're dealing with people now who have played these games, who have come up in this multimedia world now and understand the IPs they're working in. And I think that's how it's been. Like, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's a big producer. He did like the recent Castlevania series, but basically, he's doing a ton of like different properties. He's doing a Power. I believe he's doing a Power Rangers thing as well. But a lot of these people understand what they're doing. I think the problem is that these people are trying to create these worlds, but it's the producers and the big, basically the money people, which are. And I think maybe eventually, like we are seeing them taking more risks, and I think that is what needs to happen. I think we're gonna have some problems where we're going to have some that fall to Resident Evil. And, we're going to have some, go over from that. And I think it just goes from there. Like, I think Netflix have killed it. I think Netflix have started off strong with the video game adaptations, in my opinion. Like, Castlevania, in my opinion, was stunning, beautiful. I think they did amazing there. Arcane has come out. That's done amazing. I think just having that in place has helped. And I think when it comes to the video game movies, like I thought Sonic was great. I enjoyed it. I thought Detective Pikachu was really good. It did its own thing. Like, it actually adapted that narrative, adapted that world and how it worked. I still would have preferred Danny DeVito, because I think we all would have wanted that as a Pikachu himself, but Ryan Reynolds was always good anyway. And we get these video game properties that are sometimes not even based on video games themselves, like Wreck-It Ralph. That is a video game property movie, but it's not fully based on an actual IP. It brings those IPs in, or it's a movie about video games, but it's entirely its own thing. Like Free Guy, it's trying to do its own thing. Like, my favorite film of all time is The Last Starfighter, which is the early 80s. And the principle of that film is a kid plays an arcade machine, and it turns out to be a space training program to teach have people fight in an intergalactic war. And then Tron, that it's, as Doug said, it's been around for years and everything. It's just how you adapt it. Like, when Tron Legacy came out, it wasn't the best thing. I actually quite enjoyed it, to be honest. It wasn't, it was quite good. It wasn't, to the heights of Tron, but I think it's a case of, it comes down to the writers. It comes down to if they're willing to take a risk. And I think that is the big thing we're actually seeing now. I think the companies are having to do this to actually compete, and competition actually brings risk out, and risk is sometimes really good for what we can have.
So this is it's like video game adaptations have been done quite a lot in sort of anime and manga quite a lot. Like, characters will wake up in their favorite video game, be it real or not, and kind of live the life of their favorite character. Like, it's quite a common trope of anime series.
Have you seen Rising of the Shield Hero?
I have not, actually. I've not got around to it yet.
Okay, right. That show is amazing. A guy gets pulled into a world where these 4 people get pulled into this video game world. Each of them can only carry one weapon: a sword, a spear, a bow, and a shield. But when they try to pick up another weapon, it just disappears. So this character can only have a shield the entire time. Now, how that shield comes into play, I won't spoil, because it's actually really awesome. And when they were creating the show, they renewed it for 2 seasons right away. It's not like an ongoing thing. It's like a 20-episode thing. A friend of ours watched it when we were doing a game jam once, and he went home, just binged it, and he just fucking loved it. It's sort of, season 1's out, and season 2 comes out in April. Definitely recommend it. But that, again, a video game, it's its own video game, it's its own take on it, essentially. So yeah, I definitely agree there. But yeah, no, but definitely, people, as I said, this is definitely going to tie into today's conversation. Obviously, going off the Paramount Plus thing, though, still we'll roll through this quicker. And also, they're doing a Seth Rogen TV movie adaptation. I mean, like, they are working. I think he's producing it. They're doing, I believe they're doing a film, and it'll be pretty interesting to see where they go. I don't know if they'll go darker, because TMNT is seen as more of a darker property, so I'll be interested to see where they go there. And they are doing a series-driven show as well, so that'd be pretty awesome. I mean, it's really interesting to see how this goes, to be honest. Like, all this stuff coming with Paramount Plus, and yeah, we'll leave that there to see what else they do later on. But weirdly, something that's resurfaced, no pun intended, is the Bioshock movie by Netflix. Honestly, that I did not expect that, to be honest. I did not expect that in the slightest.
It will be interesting. I don't know how they're going to do it, because most of the major twists will have already been experienced by people who are playing the games or have played the games. So the main audience might have already been spoiled.
Bioshock is, for me, the interesting thing about it was always the world and the setting. So there's definitely more they could do there. So I think it's got quite a lot of potential material for an adaptation, actually.
I'm with Chaz, actually, because what makes enough sense to me is that you could do a lot with There's a lot you can do in Rapture, even like before the events of Bioshock, because a lot has clearly already happened. Like you could even dial it kind of back to the founding of, or a completely different character arriving in Rapture, like in the early days, and seeing the decline of it. So, I mean, I'd love to just see something in that world.
So one thing from me is that with the film, they're going to need to change the twist in the game, because that twist in the game, while it's really good, it's very game focused twist. It really plays on the whole kind of linear narrative of games.
I mean, they could look at actually, I don't want to really want to. Is the game old enough now that we could talk about the twist?
Yes.
I mean, so Shutter Island, I think, is a good film to look at for that, in my opinion, with Leonardo DiCaprio. It was Leo DiCaprio, if I believe. Yeah, it was Leo DiCaprio. And there was another film with Robert De Niro where her daughter had an imaginary friend. Turns out it was just a split personality of Robert De Niro. And obviously Fight Club is the biggest one, to be honest. I think if they did that...
One of my favorite twists in recent years is Arrival. Nothing like
Yes.
that. I can't think of any film that has made me like shocked me with how good the twist was and kind of flipped my head upside down. But I think this idea of the twist is the big mistake, because I think like redoing the story of the game, like that narrative of that game, I think that would be a huge mistake, because like the main character isn't a character, like the one you play isn't a character. Like there's nothing there. Whereas like whereas like the character Fontaine and some more of his backstory, there's definitely room in that. Like, and I reckon we will see. I reckon that's some of what we'll see. Like, we will see before the plane crash.
I just want to chime in and say what you said before about seeing the slow or maybe not so slow degradation of Rapture. That would be so interesting. Yeah. So hopefully they do that.
I was just thinking about Snowpiercer actually, Chaz, about how like the TV show is actually going off on its own tracks. Sorry. Essentially with that, and yeah, they're just shaking their head to me at the moment.
You did that
and
deliberately.
yeah, damn right I did. I've almost fallen on the spot though, and how it was trying to do its own thing. And I think maybe Bioshock could be a case of you follow a protagonist who is possibly linked to someone on the surface, like it's a whole like community that a family member's gone down. And then later down the line, the communication cuts off, and that causes that person to go find the place and everything, and just do it that way and find out. And basically, the show starts off with the person coming down there, and then it's sort of like a present day, past, back and forth, and everything, and finding out exactly what goes on. And that way, you could actually have twists and turns happen that way and everything, because it flips on the narrative that way. But yeah,
there's a lot of potential.
Oh yeah,
for a lot of different directions.
And they definitely need to keep the visual style, because yeah, that is the thing that's the biggest part of Bioshock, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, movies wise, movies, TV shows like Paramount and Netflix, it's coming up ridiculously so much. I mean, on the Netflix front still, the Cuphead TV show comes out this Friday. I'm so glad I'm finally going to be able to see the narrative out that without fucking playing the game, because Jesus Christ, I just can't. I tried to see the first section of that game, I just couldn't do it. I could never get through Cuphead. It was just too difficult for me.
I also suck at Cuphead.
I've never tried it.
I'm content to watch it on like speedruns and stuff.
No, I just thought it'd be really interesting to see where they go. And they are keeping the exact same animation, which I think was amazing, to be honest. I think that was awesome. So much stuff coming out though. So, we've got Lord of the Rings. They revealed the first teaser trailer for that, and people have been complaining online that it doesn't look like a $500 million show. And I'm just wondering, well, it was a minute, so you're probably gonna have like 10 hours, or 8 to 10 hours of stuff. And the one concern I have is the first season was shot in New Zealand, the second season is going to be shot in the UK. And I was on a podcast, I was listening to a podcast, and they said, well, it's set thousands of years before, so it could be tons of different locations, and we're going to see locations we never saw before in Lord of the Rings. It could be, or they might be using the volume technology more to make it, to actually do that.
Like, I can't imagine that that's a problem we're gonna have. I can't imagine that I'm gonna go into this film and think, oh, I don't think they shot it in the right place. I don't see that happening. Also, there's enough great locations in the UK, like natural locations that you could do things like. And then if they're covering areas like, I don't know, I can't remember from my Lord of the Rings lore if Numenor is pre-Rings of Power, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's plenty of areas like in different parts of England, moors in like Scotland, which would be, or even Wales, which are amazing for that kind of era.
Also people realize this. I think this is set during the Second Age. This is just after my Lord of the Rings knowledge is very vague. Like, it's set after Morgoth, which is like Sauron's master, and there's tons of fucking creatures that we've never seen before, and that's what I'm intrigued by. We got a glimpse of them in the films, and obviously we saw like the whole stone trolls in the Fellowship of the Ring, and how there's stories behind that. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing where we go there. And also I'm wondering if each season will be from a different character's perspective, because I think the first season will be heavily influenced from Galadriel, because obviously she's prominent in the trailer. And Elrond is in the trailer. So, but then they live the entire time, so they could appear in other seasons. But obviously, humans, dwarves don't live as long as that. So it'd be really interesting to see where that show goes. To be honest, and it's Amazon. Like, this, like Amazon can't really have any concern with that. To be honest, and I think they'll probably be buying the rights anyway. So, I bet they'll probably buy the Lord of the Rings rights.
I mean, look at The Expanse when they got hold of it. Like the visual budget.
Jesus
just
Christ, yeah,
exactly,
skyrocketed.
yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, people, so much content coming out, We'll just finish off on the TV shows with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is set for May 25th. 6 episodes. It's a limited series. It's only 1 season. That is it. It is set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, and Hayden Christensen is back as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, which has been confirmed. So I'm wondering if we might get other characters appear, which would be interesting. And also they've said it's going to start on Tatooine. It won't be on Tatooine the entire time, which is like, thank you. Just, we need to see more stuff. And we're going to see round 2, and also fill in that gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, which was the loophole that they're filling. So basically in episode 4, when Obi-Wan goes, Vader's more machine than man now. How did he know? The last time he saw him, he was on Mustafar being marshmallowed. So we're going to see that. And I'm just hoping the fight scene is almost as good as Revenge of the Sith, because people hate Revenge of the Sith. I fucking love it, to be honest. They had a man burn alive on screen in a 12A, and I don't know how they pulled that off. But yeah, and I just thought the fight scenes were brilliant in that. But yes, that's the TV shows, people. We are going to finish off now with probably some of the biggest news for video game fans out there, if they're, still playing it. I hope everyone is. Cyberpunk 2077 has released its next-gen versions. The PS5, the Xbox Series X versions are out, Series S versions are out, and I believe they released patch 1.5 as well. I'm finally going to go back and play it. Supposedly, people are saying just start the game again. You can transfer save files. It has been confirmed. I believe they've had to revert all your perk points, so you just have to reassign them. But they're saying, with all the updated system, with all the updates, just restart the game. It's with all the updates and everything. James is just like, I'm probably just going to play it again anyway. But
I completed it a couple months back, so I might replay it at some point.
Yeah, no, I was 3 missions before the end. I might just restart it now, maybe from a different factions perspective. I might stay with the what's the outside city?
No badge.
No badge. Yeah, I might start with the city rats or whatever they're called this time. Not the businessman, the ones inside the city. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully it plays out well. Hopefully we'll see where that goes. But yes, that is the end of the news, people. That is the end of the news. We are now going to move on to our main topic of the week, and that is our dream video game adaptations that we'd love to see in other media. Honestly, people, as I said before, with so much coming out, I posted a thing in our Discord group, and I didn't realize how much was actually being adapted at the moment. I was just quite shocked, to be honest. It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, Chaz, do you want to start us off with your video game adaptations you'd like to see, or one of them at least we'll start off with?
I mean, I thought about it, and like you said, Nate, there are actually quite a lot of things already being adapted, which is really cool. My one's might be much of a surprise for you guys, but thought about it a little bit, and first thing I'll just quickly touch on, obviously it already had a movie, but I would love to see more from Warcraft. You know how I feel about the lore of that game, not so much recently, but there's a lot there. I thought maybe even could be like an anthology TV show type thing, but I'm glad we got the movie, but it scratched the surface of what there is in that universe, so I would love to see more.
Which streaming service would you want it to go with, do you think? Do you have any faith for which person who'd do it better?
Probably not. I'd say I would be happy with whatever I got if there was more Warcraft stuff.
Live action or animated?
Good question. I'd say probably live action again, but it's tough because the live action stuff in the movie looked a bit wonky. They'd have to do it right.
Cool. Awesome sauce. Doug, how about yourself, man?
Yeah, I think the top one. So I think something that Arcane demonstrates really well is what you can have when there's a good game and there are characters that but the game doesn't explore them that much. There's clearly depth, but the game doesn't do them. And a game I thought recently actually, it's Overwatch. So that is a game which is like the community is always crying out, can we have more lore, please? Because you've got these characters, you've got this history of the Omnic War, you've got these organizations that built like all these preformed relationships between the characters, and and so many of them have got so many problems of their own. And so, I mean, I feel like, in answer to your other upcoming questions, I expect. I don't really care about the streaming service, although the fact that, but Arcane, I feel, is the best demonstration of how to do that well. Like, I think it'd have to be animated, because doing it live action, like some things would be cool to see in live action, but I think it would hold it back too much. Whereas like being animated, and now because there's one of the things now, like animation technology is so good, that making an animated series is probably quite liberating for the way they do things. And so, yeah, I think that would be a great one to explore more of the Overwatch world. And I think TV series, like I wouldn't want them to try and cram it into a film.
No, I definitely agree there.
I'm really sorry. I just realised I've completely fluffed when you asked me that question, because Warcraft should be animated. Have you seen those cutscenes that they, those amazing cinematics they do? So that's my answer. I definitely want to change it to that. If they could pull that off, that would be fucking amazing. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
No, it's fine. I mean, I actually took Overwatch off my list, Doug, because I knew one of you was going to say it tonight. So I was like, let's keep it a bit varied. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also, you can definitely make the exaggerations of the characters much more overhyped and everything. I think that's like with Arcane, which they did. I definitely think that is definitely needed. Overwatch, maybe we might see something I think when Overwatch 2 comes out, that's the prime time to like start doing that, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty awesome, dude. Fergus, how about yourself, man?
So my choice would be the Perfect Dark series. I think has quite a lot of scope to sort of explore with a TV series, maybe a couple of movies. I don't know. For those of you not familiar, this is first emerged as a Nintendo 64 game in the year 2000, set in the very distant future of 2023. So this follows. So the world is Earth, humans, but aliens have been encountered, and there are two species of aliens who are currently at war, who are sort of manipulating various Earth corporations. So it's a similar sort of world to Cyberpunk, I guess, as if corporations rule the world. So you're an agent working for one of the corporations in the game, trying to steal technology from one of the other corporations. So yeah, there's a lot of room for like political intrigue and technology and action and sort of stealing futuristic technology and encountering aliens, who's an alien, who's not an alien, this sort of thing. Yeah, it would be really good. There's a lot of like additional comics and novels out there as well to draw from. It's also worth mentioning that they are rebooting the series. The teaser trailer's already out there, but there's no confirmed date for when that game is going to be released. We'll say it's going to be in the same world, but I'm not sure how they're going to change the game, as it were.
Oh, awesome sauce. Yeah, I'm definitely. I never really played the Perfect Dark games when I was younger, which is because that was Rare who made them, right, originally.
Yes, it was the next big game by the same people who made. It's Wikipedia describes it as the spiritual successor to the company's first-person shooter GoldenEye 007. So this is Rare, now owned by Microsoft. I can't remember who's making the reboot.
Coalition, I believe it's Coalition. Coalition.
Yes, I think this is their first major project, the Perfect Dark reboot.
It'd be interesting to see how that goes. And you'd say there'd be a series, right?
I think that would be a TV series, yes, following the like Perfect Dark spy agency. getting technology, accidentally blowing up the president, this sort of thing.
Awesome, thank you. James, how about yourself, man?
My first one I want to talk about, my favourite, is Deus Ex. So I've owned either the original 2000 game, not the sequel, not Invisible War. Didn't like that. So either the original 2000 game or the two prequels they did, Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. I really love that world. I really love the stories. I think you'd either do a TV show or you could do a film out of those. And I even had a go at writing my own script for the original Deus Ex about 15 years back. Didn't get past the first scene, but I had a whole thing like mapped out, and I know in my head how I would approach it. So yeah, that's my personal choice.
I like this angle of it's not just dream franchise to see. It's like, and I plan to do it.
Yeah.
Awesome, excellent. It is awesome when you get those passions that actually like say, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself."
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Exactly. Yeah,
Easy.
exactly. Good old Thanos there. My first one is Spyro the Dragon. I've only, as I've mentioned one of our podcasts before, I've only really played the Spyro games properly in the last couple of years, and I know Chaz has an appreciation for those games, if I remember. So
Yeah, played them growing up. Spyro could work. I feel like it'd be more of a kiddie thing. Maybe that's the wrong take, but yeah, especially with the art style they've kind of established with the remasters they did recently.
So I'm gonna throw it out there. Actually, I think it should be mostly inspired from How to Train Your Dragon.
That's a good shout. Yeah,
That has the. I think that has the. I was looking at the art style for the Spyro games, and then the art style for the How to Train Your Dragon films, and I think make a nice trilogy and have Spyro grow up and become this amazing dragon. Obviously, he doesn't have to be a rider if it's just literally talking dragons and stuff. But I think it'd be awesome. I think I was thinking like I was doing a bit of casting. Donald Glover might be a good choice for that, to be honest. Or the actor Dylan O'Brien, who was recently in the Love and Monsters movie on Netflix. He's been like a few other things as well. But he's got this like sarcastic attitude to his voice and everything. But those two actors, I think, would be like, I'm thinking Donald Glover specifically when in his Community days of acting, like his high pitched squeals and everything. Like I thought that'd be quite funny, to be honest. And yeah, I just looking at how they did their How to Train Your Dragon world. I definitely think 3 films would be 3 animated movies would be really good with that, to be honest. And just have the building stages of like him, maybe have like this like lore behind it. Like he turns out he's going to be eventually this legendary dragon in the of lore, or he's descended from it or whatever. I don't know. And it builds up to that through the trilogy of him saving these dragons. He's like an outcast as he is in the first game. And I believe if that's correct, he's always seen like the runt and everything, and then he builds up to become this legendary figure. So yeah, that was my first choice. Chaz, how about what was your second choice, man?
Yeah. So actually, I'll kind of Doug mentioned Arcane, and it had me thinking about this kind of new style of animation we've got going on, where it's like this evolving 3D style that we've got, where it's like almost comic book like or hand drawn. And I was thinking, what's a video game that I really like the art style of that I thought could be a cool adaptation, and I landed on Darkest Dungeon. Obviously quite that would be more a darker tone than those two, although Arcane's pretty dark. But like, how cool would that be if it was in 3D, but it had some of this new like style of like I can see it in my head, these like the lines on the characters, and just I feel like that could be really cool. The lore of Darkest Dungeon is pretty cool. You could have these awesome eldritch animated monsters. I think that could be a lot of potential there, but again, that's personal choice because I really like that series.
I think there's a lot of mileage in that because Darkest Dungeon, like all the characters are just absolutely broken, aren't they?
In various ways, yeah, that's the whole idea. And it's one of those games where anyone can die, which there's quite a lot of shows recently that can do that or have been doing that. So that could be suspenseful too.
It's almost got a bit of a Doom Patrol kind of like everyone like this feeling of it starts off and everyone's having a horrible time. And then
it gets worse.
Yes, exactly. I love that suggestion.
But yeah, you've probably not seen it, but some of the monsters that are in the later of that game are so creative and really awful to look at, like in a good way. So it would be cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think Arcane has definitely opened the gates for its art style and how you can just go with it. Just do what you want to do. Don't try to confine yourself to one thing and just try new artistic avenues. And I think that definitely did it, to be honest. And I think animation is definitely I'm saying definitely one of the key areas in which it's pushing this. And I feel that Arcane has done this. I'm really wondering where they're going to go next, to be honest. It'll be very interesting.
Spider-Verse and Arcane have just opened my eyes to what different styles of 3D animation can do.
But yeah, awesome. Doug, what's your next one, man?
I had a few ideas of various things that like other things that you could make a gritty TV show about. I know places of like Omega, Mass Effect, City 17, and Half-Life, This War of Mine, and XCOM. But I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk about another idea I had, which would be a live-action movie, which is unusual for me. This would be Titanfall.
Ooh, okay, I'm loving this. Okay.
Because I played the Titanfall 2 campaign fairly recently, and like people have been recommending it for ages and ages. And having played it, I see why. Like gameplay wise, it's brilliantly designed, like in terms of how it scales. But there's so much. But from a cinematic kind of impact and I know awe-striking story point of view, there's so much mileage in that, and there's even a lot of mileage in the people you face in their Titans. There's a lot of characters in there, like you can really have some names, faces, and voices, and so you could have some good rivalry characters. It really positions itself well to have cool movie type stunts, because if you want to explore a world, you definitely want a TV show with it. But Titanfall, like, it doesn't have so much a deep world, but it's cool moments and cool action, and I think there's actually room, and a movie I think would actually deliver that well.
Going off of like the like tech wise and mechs and everything, I think Pacific Rim, even though it's much grander in scale, the first movie primarily. I mean, to be fair, the second movie just went balls to the wall with it. It was like, we don't care anymore. We're just going to go full, with it. But I think like obviously scaling down for the mechs, and obviously you could just get Lance Hendrickson back for it to do the voice as well. So yeah.
I've just thought, like, I was just thinking after you mentioned Pacific Rim, like, who would, like, what other films do I think are the best parallels for it? And I suddenly thought of Neil Blomkamp. Like,
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because like I like his gritty mechs are still kind of like they're human level, like they're machine, but they're full of character and stuff. That kind of style would be absolutely sick.
I mean, let's pencil it in after District 10, which I believe was confirmed. So yeah, I believe there was definitely, yeah, honestly. And also he definitely approaches visual effects in a certain way as well, because obviously with like District 9 and Elysium and Chappie, they all had their distinct styles, but they were also, as you said, they felt real, they felt lived in, and Titanfall definitely needs that, to be honest. And then you could eventually do an Apex Legends offshoot if you wanted to, down the line, because it's in the same universe. So you could definitely do that. So yeah, I was about to ask you, who would you direct it? I did think Del Toro just because of Pacific Rim, but then I did think no, Blomkamp would be a good option, to be honest. Would be a really good option. But Titanfall movie, that would be. Would you go before 2, or would you just start with 2 as the narrative if you were going to do a narrative for that?
Probably before 2. Like there's enough that's built of various factions, and there's enough characters that in it that are formed that I think I could have a bit more of them. But it doesn't matter too much, I feel, with that one. Like just have a cool protagonist, have them have a good set up a good relationship with them and their mech, which is really important. It's funny, I don't know if just thinking from watching Venom yesterday, what really makes the film is like Eddie's relationship with Venom. It's awesome, and where they don't quite understand each other for a lot of it, a bit of an old couple thing. But with that and a couple of like a larger than life characters in some of the other mechs, like I kind of want to see them camp it up, like in a way that I really enjoyed Robotnik in the Sonic film. It's just absurd but lush to watch.
No, I definitely agree that I think with the second Sonic movie, they're just trying to up the ante on that, and I think that's why they're just trying to push him on. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do there. But yeah, awesome. Didn't expect Titanfall, to be honest. Didn't expect Titanfall 2. I've got something similar on my list to a degree in that vein, but it's definitely not that. But yeah, Fergus, how about yourself, man?
Well, what platform is Skyrim not on yet? I thought, and I came up with the idea of Netflix or cinema screens. I think if we're pushing Skyrim to its natural conclusion, a TV series and or film franchise would be ideal. Some, a classic adventuring, some dragons, some magic. What more? Yeah, you could do a lot, I think.
Do you have any takes on you said live action, right?
Yeah, it would be similar-ish, in a similar vein to the Lord of the Rings movies / TV series, I reckon.
Character needs to get shot in the knee with an arrow.
Oh, that needs to happen.
That'll be in the trailer for sure. Yes.
Needs to be some mud crabs as well.
Starts off with them.
So I'm going to counter that myself. I personally don't. The reason I don't like that I did myself is that I always feel that Bethesda's narratives aren't great. They are just about sufficient for the games which they do, but they're really not, in my mind, they're not great narratives. Unfortunately, but maybe a writer could hopefully flesh it out and improve upon that.
I was just going to say, yeah, we were talking earlier about how a good writer can, really elevate a series, and we're seeing that a lot with adaptations. I think that, yeah, I kind of agree with you that the storylines and the quests in the game, there are some interesting ones, definitely, but maybe not strong enough on their own to be a direct copy for a TV show or a film. That being said, I do see the potential there with the again with the world building and all the history that's in that universe. So I'd agree with Fergus. It's a good pick.
To be honest, I was going to put Dragon Age on my list, and I think they actually have similar veins in that regard of like the narrative you could do. And I think just going with the Dragonborn story would be the best one to do, and set it over like a multi-season. Maybe have like three set seasons, like like that sort of thing. Don't try and push out too much because it would just go too far. And maybe 8 episodes a season. Skyrim, I think on TV, just Elder Scrolls in general, would be the final one for me. That would be like, okay, you're done now. No more releasing on other platforms until we do like augmented reality stuff or whatever. But I don't know. Like, I think that's the best way to go. Awesome, Fergus. Thank you. James, how about yourself, man?
Yeah, cool. So my second choice, I don't think it's ever been done on a film yet. It's a game called Hitman. Now, I'm going to use an epithet here and say silent assassin, which is an epithet that is often used in association with a game. So when I say that Hitman hasn't been done as a film, you're meant to play those games as a silent assassin. The 2 attempts at films are made from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know how to play the games and just goes ham and tries to play them as an FPS. That is not Hitman. So I actually do have an idea as to how I would approach this if I was to write it myself. I can't take credit for the idea per se because it's inspired by a comment on the internet that I read like several years back, but it's been running around in my head for several years. And yeah, this is how I would do it. So not 100% sure what story I would do, but it'd probably be something maybe like Blood Money, perhaps something around that. I probably want some kind of like political conspiracy going on, but you'd have Hitman as a background character. He'd be more like the Jaws of the film, rather than the main protagonist. And so you'd be following essentially the villains essentially with their plan, while in the background he's basically interrupting it.
I love that idea, actually, what you're describing, and there's some room in this as well to actually make it kind of bit of a black comedy, because something like one thing people always talk about in Hitman is actually the best moments are always so funny, like the daft ways, the absurd ways you get someone killed. Like it's like you set up your own personal Final Destination film around somebody, and it's kind of killed by the falling piano or a flung briefcase, or like and they just like tipped off a balcony, and when you thought you were safe. And so I love the idea of Hitman just not really being a foreground character. He's just kind of a murderous force of nature sneaking around in the background or turning up dressed as someone you hadn't looked at properly. I like this idea.
I mean, you could take the Scream approach of having, I don't know, the slightest satire element to it, because Scream, Ghostface is in the back of scenes a lot of the time, and he appears on screen, and you could do something like, I mean, you could go the full serious route with Hitman, but Hitman, you can be quite stupid in how you kill people, so, like, it would be interesting to see, the Jaws effect of it would be, very interesting, to be honest. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, James. My next one, it's interesting how I'd be able to pull this off. XCOM.
XCOM was a background one on my list. I agree with you.
I think XCOM, Band of Brothers style, following one team throughout this entire campaign. Because the whole point of XCOM is to try to keep your characters alive, and you try to build a relationship with these characters. I know when I first started at where I work and everything, it was a case of creating all these characters, and I created all my friends, gave them all these backstories. I actually had a Facebook memory of all the characters I created, and I'll be honest with you, I loved the fact I was so accurate with a lot. I did like 25 different people. It was amazing. But I've been meaning to rewatch Band of Brothers because I know they're doing another series now for a different campaign. I believe Tom Hanks is working on that, and it just made me think like I love Starship Troopers. We were talking about Edge of Tomorrow last week and how the alien invasion there and how that worked with the mech suits and everything and how the design with that. And I think if you did a Band of Brothers, if you did a XCOM movie in the style of Edge of Tomorrow, because they had the dropships and everything, if you combined XCOM, Band of Brothers, and Starship Troopers in Edge of Tomorrow, that is the perfect. And I think a limited season, 10 episodes, and maybe do like what the Pacific tried to do, of how like it did its own thing, a different team, different whatnot, and then the XCOM games went like to Subterranean, just change it up each season. I think that'd be interesting to do.
Yeah, I am absolutely on board with this because if people talk, I think of XCOM as an example of some of the best narrative in video games because you write it as the player. Like because you get this squad, especially if you play it in Iron Man mode, when it's so precious when they actually when they die. It like makes it a linear narrative. But like they start off as complete rookies, but as you go through the game, like their story is a backstory you have created together. Like you have you remember when one of the snipers went on Overwatch, took out a berserker, and saved your squad. Like they become a hero that you help to make, and as a player you're so invested in that way, and it's so that kind of, there's so much room in a TV show for that kind of story where they're all kind of nobodies at the start, and then through their exploits and gambits, they become legends throughout the show.
You could do a Bandersnatch style approach to it as well, maybe like a limited Netflix show where you decide the routes the characters take. You could create an XCOM style show of these soldiers fighting and decide, oh no, you're going to go down this path where you're going to do this mission and everything, and you're going to decide which place you're going to go to, and it could decide where that's going to go.
I'm almost sad this is hypothetical because I love Band of Brothers and Bandersnatch, and just the idea of that whole idea of it, limited tries and trying to. That's a very cool idea. I wish that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would like specifically XCOM 2 to be adapted as a film as opposed to XCOM 1. The film XCOM 1 is very much your alien invasion story, which has been told several times. But XCOM 2, actual alien occupation of Earth, trying to fight back against it, I think that would make a very interesting story.
But yeah, no, I was just thinking about it. I was just thinking that will work really well, and I love my sci-fi. We need a new Starship Troopers. I'm gonna keep praising that film to the end of my days, and it's actually had a resurgence recently. Also, just to end on this, talk about like the relationships you build with these characters. Friend from Mars, he was the last person that survived in mine. He had one tiny bar of health left at the end, and my housemates knew I was playing XCOM because I was playing the Starship Troopers theme song in the final battle. And yeah, that was my like go-to. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna win.
Did you ever watch the Starship Troopers animated series?
Yes, Roughneck. And that was amazing because again, they had a different campaign each time.
Good.
And the fact it was a kids' TV show, because I remember watching it with my Nesquik at 7:30 in the morning before I went to school. And they did the animated movies as well. Don't know how I felt. Yeah, I don't know how I felt. Yeah. It was, and also they included the races that were in the book, the skinnies. Like they include these other things, and I think they keep saying they're going to do new Starship Troopers. It needs to be done, in my opinion, especially with today's world. Like, I don't know how you're going to satirize today's world, to be honest, because yeah, it's going that way some points. But yeah, no, I've definitely XCOM would be one of my top picks, to be honest, and kind of glad I caught you off guard with that, to be honest. But yeah, awesome sauce. But yeah, Chaz, we're gonna go back to you now.
Okay, cool. I got two more, and this one probably doesn't surprise you guys again, but there is a reason behind it. It's Oddworld, and the reason is, Oddworld has always had a very, very cool, world and setting, and I love the gameplay of the old games. But recently, with what they're trying to do, the gameplay, especially Soulstorm, it's just not what it used to be. And I know Lorne Lanning, the creator of Oddworld, he was actually, his background was films. He loves, cinematics, and he almost wanted to make Oddworld a film or a series or something, and for whatever reason it ended up in a game form. So I would almost like to see what he could do if he wasn't constrained by gameplay, and he could just take that world and make it a film. The thing that stops me going through Soulstorm, unfortunately, is the gameplay. The cinematics and the graphics are, they're really, really cool. So I would love to be able to see that outside of video games.
Nice, awesome. I don't think Oddworld would be very out there. It would be obviously it would be animated, because you would be able to do that live action, to be honest. Wait, Avatar could have possibly pushed that, but yeah, get James Cameron to do Oddworld. That'd be interesting. But no, yeah, animated. And I think the way we're going, like pushing the boundaries on like the different narratives we could do, Oddworld would have to be it would be a risky bet to do that as a show, to be honest.
Yeah, and this is Dream Adaptations. I don't think it'll ever happen, to be honest. But as a big Oddworld fan, I would like for it to. It would be nice to see.
I mean, you never expected to see League of Legends as a TV show, so Oddworld, could possibly. I mean, there's a new show called Hit Monkey about an assassin monkey. Yeah, exactly. We're in a world. Yeah, Doug said, "What the fuck." We're in a world now where this stuff is possible, and animation studios are popping up everywhere, and a lower grade animation studio could come out and do that.
I'm actually halfway through Hit Monkey. I recommend it. I like it.
Excellent. Doug, how about yourself, man?
Yeah, I'm torn between mentioning two, because they'd both be things to go to TV series. One would be like just pointing out that Mass Effect. Like, there's loads of places you could do good storylines and like explore the universe. Like, and I think for me, the first place I think of is Omega, like that space station in the rock. But I want to draw attention to the idea of This War of Mine, and now it is not that much of a story, specifically. It's not specific characters, but the model of it. There's there's a lot of mileage in that story archetype of like an ongoing TV series, or could do it, maybe even do it in a film, but I think it makes more sense as a TV series, and then just gradually more characters end up in it, and over a couple of days, and then there's room to explore all these kind of hardships, the way the video game and the board game do so well, so painfully. Like, hey, here's in the war-torn environments, what is life like? What are the difficult decisions you have to make? I mean, I guess it's a bit of The Walking Dead, but you actually stay in the same house and there aren't any zombies. It's just people. I
really like the idea of having the war, like the action side of the war, which is what you see a lot of battles in other war media. I love the idea of that being in the background, and maybe you'll you'll just hear things, or you'll feel the ground shake, or maybe like have soldiers come and I don't know, pilfer their house or whatever. But I love the idea of it just being a small element in the background while these people are just struggling to live.
Yeah, definitely. Because in the games, you can end up near the shooting or near the soldiers, and it's I think there's a lot of room for a TV point of view, focus on that part of the story. And there probably already are some shows out there that are doing something like this. But I mean, I think, well, even as an IP, I think it would have some impact factor for all this. But yeah,
I think seeing the Last of Us TV show when that comes out and seeing how that portrays that world, essentially how they can like adapt, the raggedness of like try, because it's two characters essentially, it's the journeys they take, and I think with this one mine it's the building of relationships with these characters and how to try and adapt that into very isolated circumstances to some degree sometimes. And I think I definitely think that'd be definitely interesting to do. Thank you very much, Doug. Do you have any more at all?
I was wondering about Half-Life City 17, if there's a story you could pull out of there somewhere, but maybe try tracking along Eli Vance, like in the days of the 7-Hour War. But I don't know, actually. As much as I love Half-Life, like, I don't look at that. I don't think they've teased, like, they'd really be coming up with something new. They haven't teased that much drama, really, around it. So, I don't know.
I think you could. I think potentially, because we're going to talk about Half-Life, the original Half-Life. I think you could make quite a good survival horror. Just make sure that Gordon Freeman actually talks in the show. Otherwise, that wouldn't work. And I think a show might be better than a film for that because of the length.
I wouldn't have. You couldn't have Gordon Freeman in the forefront of a show like that. Alex, maybe. I mean, the trouble is, like, Alex is good in a game, but she doesn't have that much character depth, I see. Well, I like Barney, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, Barney is the bet. Because he's fun. Like Blue Shift is actually like an expansion to the original Half-Life. And actually, even like just basically, hack jobbing that into a movie actually works fairly well, because they even stick a couple of characters in.
Would you do Bryan Cranston as Gordon Freeman in the background?
Nah.
Or J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons is G-Man or?
I was thinking Gordon Freeman himself because he did J. Jonah Jameson, so maybe give him a hairpiece again. But
yeah, I don't think Gordon Freeman's not that old, and I don't think he's that severe actually. Like, and that's the thing. Like, Gordon Freeman isn't really a character in all the way. He's just he's a vessel for the player, and like he's almost more like a Master Chief suit. With even less backstory.
Yeah, I was going to say, Master Chief's got more character than.
Yeah.
No, awesome. But yeah, Half-Life would be. I know that they've been trying to push the game, but maybe what if they just like, we're doing a Half-Life TV show? We want Half-Life 3. Now we're doing a TV show instead. That would be hilarious to see, to be honest. But Fergus, you got any more left, man?
I was vaguely thinking about whether a Zelda movie would work. I know that the plot's pretty similar from game to game. Was you power up to defeat Ganon. You could possibly do a movie out of that.
It was on my list. I did remove it because I thought someone else might do it, and also I think would work really well as maybe just a limited series. But how would you do it though? Like animated live action?
I think it would have to be animated because of the Gorons and what are they called? The fish people.
I have no idea.
Can't remember.
If everyone keeps talking, I might Google it.
Because they're the fish people.
The fish people. That's terrible. But there's a range of non-human Zora. Yeah, of course it's the forest folk as well. There's a large range of non-human characters that would probably be better off done as animated.
Would you just do Would you just adapt Breath of the Wild because it was the latest in that line, or would you do something like Majora's Mask where it's like time sensitive and
Well, these are all game mechanics, but as I say, they all follow roughly the same story. So you could do, and of course, Hyrule resets and it keeps being reborn into new universes. So you could do plausibly a movie that's in a different Hyrule, with a slightly different Link who meets roughly the same characters can do the roughly the same purposes. Happened in.
Are we going to get any a Spider-Verse into the Spider-Verse where we'll just get all the Links meet up and everything and like a big?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's happened vaguely in Super Smash Bros. You've got both kinds of Link. 3 kinds of Link in Super Smash Bros. So that barrier's been broken.
I know the Joker film, the director, there was rumors of the director and Joaquin Phoenix talked about how they do another Joker movie, but it'd be like a totally different narrative of his origin, because the Joker always never gives his actual origin away because he's that crazy, and it would be a different story each time. So you could take that approach. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool, awesome source. Thanks, man. Yeah, Zelda. I think they have been trying to push Zelda for. I remember they did a IGN, or someone created this April Fool live action April Fool's thing a while ago now, a trailer, and it just shocked people because they were like, "We want that." And yeah, but yeah, no, awesome. Thank you very much. James, do you have any more, or you tapped out?
Pong. No, I've got no. That's my last one.
What the hell? I have no idea what you're going on about there.
So
Pong, the TV show.
Pong, the very first game ever made.
Oh, I thought you said Pom.
Do it.
Pong.
Pong.
Do it.
Jesus. I mean, they did that Pixels film, so you could eventually do that. Does anyone else have any others before it comes to me last?
I got one last one, and that is Frostpunk. It's a very cool setting. It's a cool setting. There's a lot. It's tragic as hell, of course. But I was thinking about all of the little story points that come up as you play the game, and there's a lot there to be kind of expanded on and made into like subplots and stuff. So yeah, I think that could be that's got a lot of potential, and obviously it's got Snowpiercer is a somewhat of a comparison as well. So
It could be absolutely harrowing.
They could cheeky suggestion. They could combine Frostpunk and Snowpiercer and do like a crossover.
I think people have made jokes about that. It wouldn't be too surprising, I suppose. But yeah, same vibe. Yeah, like Doug said, it would be harrowing. And when I thought of it, I was just like, that could work really well. That could be super interesting.
I don't need a show that normalizes cannibalism. I don't need that.
Fair enough. But no,
I was just going to say, I like how, that could happen, but also a myriad of other horrible things in the name of survival.
Yeah, no, but no, thanks, Chaz. So that is everyone else's dream video game adaptations. I'm sure no doubt will come up with more later on, but I'm gonna quickly run through my last two. One of them is Prince of Persia. I want a better adaptation of that, to be honest. I've got a funny story. I finished at university. I was up for 3 days. And then someone I knew came down, surprised me, came down to see me for the weekend. He was like, let's go to the cinema, watch Prince of Persia. I was like, oh, this is a loud movie. I'll stay up. I passed out 10 minutes in. I woke up 5 minutes before the end. I was like, oh, what's going on? Turns out I was snoring and other noises that loudly that I made 2 women leave the cinema. And it was a case of, my mate just turned to me and went, what the fuck? You want me to explain the whole fucking movie? Well, we're only like 5-10 minutes in. Nate, we're 5 minutes at the end. Oh, shit, okay then. I rewatched the film later, and it was just frustrating how it was that time period of they were just trying to adapt something, and they took a, Jake Gyllenhaal as the prince, which I thought was bad casting in my opinion, to be honest. Great, he's an amazing actor, just bad casting decision in my opinion. But yeah, no, Prince of Persia, I think that could definitely work well. And obviously you've got a trilogy of films there. I
was actually going to just say, I completely forgot they made that movie. And that was kind of from, well, about 12 years ago now. That was from the time when almost any adaptation they made of video games would probably be bad. It's kind of crazy how recently we've actually been really spoiled with the quality. It's just gone up a lot. So it's crazy how just in a little amount of time things have improved.
Controversially, I really liked the Doom movie. It was fun.
Which one?
The old one with Carl Urban and Rock.
I actually enjoyed that, to be honest, because it's Doom free. It is Doom free, and also the first person sequence in that film was great.
It was hilarious. It was like 2 films in one. The first half was a legit kind of creepy sci-fi thriller, and then the second film was just an absolute shit show that was totally done taking itself seriously. Like, and I loved it.
I was actually thinking, like, because obviously Dwayne Johnson has come out and said he is doing another video game adaptation movie, and a huge, like, video IP that's been out. He's been playing for many years, and I said to myself, oh, it could be Doom guy. Oh wait, no, maybe like he could possibly like reboot it to a degree. It's either going to be Gears of War or something like that, which I think Dave Bautista, I mentioned before. Dave Bautista's been pining for that Marcus Phoenix role for years, and it'd be amazing to actually have that. My final one is the game that's coming out on Friday. I don't know, like maybe it's too soon to do it, but Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West. I think that world is just mesmerizing. Like, I think it's so visually stunning, and like the narrative of having like this, tribes in the future, but there's machines going on in it, like in this whole world, this character Aloy who's trying to figure out what's going on in this world, trying to figure out her heritage as well. I think it would work best as a show. You can't do that as a film because there's so much going on. Limited show. Do not push too far. Maybe wait. I don't know if they're going to do a sequel to this game coming out. I bet they will. I bet it'll be like a trilogy sort of thing, maybe like a two-major trilogy, something like a trilogy set of games, and maybe just wait till that after that comes out and actually plot this out essentially. Because obviously we have PlayStation Studios now who've just released Uncharted, and they have they have Ghost of Tsushima in the works as well from the John Wick director, and they have Twisted Metal coming out.
I'm curious. With a Horizon adaptation, would you follow Aloy, or would you go somewhere else, like look for someone else in that world?
So I think I'd actually start it off before Aloy and actually establishing the world. I think Aloy's story is amazing. I don't know if you've played the games yourself, but she does have this great journey, in my opinion, and it does delve into the history of her character and also the history of the world. Like, you pick up these like audio files or books, and you have these hologram messages, and you find about like this tragedy of how the world became to be. And I'm not going to spoil it because I definitely recommend going to play it. It's an amazing game, and I can't wait for the sequel on Friday. I've booked Friday off work so I can play it. But I definitely think that would be amazing, to be honest. And it's the thing. The problem I have with that is that Ashley Birch is such an amazing portrayal of the character, that I'm just wondering, like, do you just get her back to play the character in real life? But I'm just wondering, because obviously I believe it's Marlene in from The Last of Us. She is the only character to come back as the same character in The Last of Us TV show. Jeffrey Pierce is coming back, who's Tommy in The Last of Us game, but he's playing a smaller character. But I definitely, that's my concern, is that because she is the central character in those games essentially, and they do have like good relationships with characters, and it goes into different areas of the world, like forest, desert, snow. It's very visual, stunning, and expanding on that. I mean, the sequel game is going to have Carrie-Anne Moss and Angela Bassett in, it's big names, and I'm just wondering, I'd love it as a film as well, just to push it to other people who might not be interested in video games but might be interested in the world, because I think people have a stigma on, and sometimes of, why would you push it to other media? Because we're doing this podcast, we want to push these narratives to other people who might not have time to play video games and might not have time to do this and that. Because Horizon is over a 30-40 hour game, but people don't have time for that. But they might like to watch a TV show they could just put on and play. Cuphead, I'm not going to play those games. I want to watch the TV show. Pushing it to other, this is what I'm trying to say, people. It's not bad to push games to other media. Don't have a stigma about it. Don't have a finger, because you're allowing people to see these properties in a different light. Like, I have family members who don't like reading. They just don't have the time, but they love The Witcher. They love The Witcher TV show. I have people who've never seen Karate Kid, but they made Cobra Kai and pushed that back, and and Star Wars. I know people who've never seen Star Wars and they've only seen it in recent years, and they're pushing all these different properties. And I think that's, with video games themselves, we are becoming, as Chaz has said, we are becoming spoiled now, and I think it's a good spoil. And I think it also allows the next generation of kids or people in it to see these narratives that we had playing them, seen in a different perspective, and how they could adapt it back into a video game later on. The cycle of development, essentially, or what they could do next. I think, but with Horizon, with sort of like Halo and Horizon, they're so big and so IP now, like Uncharted as well. It's just come out. Talk about into our Tuesday podcast for that. It's a very weird dynamic we're in at the moment, but I think it's something that I'm really looking forward to. And I think, I can't believe I went off a little preach of them, but like, Horizon Zero Dawn, and it just lends itself to some good TV show subtitles. The first season's called Zero Dawn, the second season's called Forbidden West. Like, that's an awesome title in my opinion. But yeah, and
Yeah, I was just going to say, simple point to counteract your preach, as you called it. One, I don't play video games that have long stories much. So for me, yeah, a TV show or a movie would be much better to introduce me to that world. And two, I would watch it purely to see the animated robotic dinosaurs running around.
yeah, because Chaz has seen me very briefly play that game and whatnot, and it's just a case of having these, mecha Tyrannosaurus Thunderjaw style creatures, or like robotic alligators, or flying machine velociraptors, not velociraptors, pterodactyls. It would be amazing to see, and like such an interesting world.
I was just going to say the like TV adaptations or movie adaptations would be very good for people who don't have the time or appetite to play certain games. This is with the Souls-like games, for example. If you did movies of, say, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, it would make the world so much more accessible for people who just can't get past that first boss.
And I'll tell you, Fergus, you have segued into the end of the podcast now, people, with pushing into next week's podcast because, right, people, next week we are going to be diving into a very, very spicy topic, and that is, should games have an option to allow people to play in an easier mode? Make it more accessible, make it easier for people to play. Should you have that? Because, as I said, people might not have the time, people might not have the accessibility, people just won't be able to play these games. They can watch live streams of it, but maybe a different adaptation of it, because some people might not want to watch a video game. Some people can't have that break in their mind of like watching other people play it, and having TV shows and films might work. But yes, with Elden Ring coming out next week, which I would like to buy and play, but I'm not going to because I got burnt with Sekiro. I played Fallen Order. I was like, I'm getting pretty good at this. I could buy Sekiro. Could got to the first mini boss. I wasted 65 quid. My brother loved it. I just couldn't do it. But next week, people, with Elden Ring coming out, we are going to be getting into that topic. Should games have an option to allow people to play in an easier mode? And trust me, each of us have got varied opinions on this. Doug is just like, I can't fucking wait to get into this topic, to be honest.
I have so much to say.
Yeah.
It's going to be spicy. I'm looking forward to listening because my opinion is too neutral for that one.
That would be a good opinion, to be honest. That would be a good opinion to us. But no, obviously we just had Sifu come out as well, the martial arts game, and they actually I did mention this. They are actually releasing a harder mode and an easier mode for that game. So they're releasing both, and it just proves it can be done. But listen in next week, people, to find out exactly what we're going to be doing there. Right. If you'd like to get in contact with us with any questions or queries, please feel free to email us at nmipodcast@outlook.com. That's nmipodcast@outlook.com. Or follow us on Twitter or Instagram at nmicast. That is at nmicast. Make sure to listen to us on Spotify or iTunes by searching NMI when you need more info. That's NMI when you need more info. You can also find us on YouTube at that same channel. By searching us NMI when you need more info. Definitely go check us out there. For we are currently in the process of working on our pixel animated versions of the shows. We've got the pixel versions of us now. I just need to get them talking, just to learn how to get them talking, and I will get us there eventually. And we might actually retroactively go back and change all the previous episodes into that as well, if I can actually sort that out. But yes, again, join us next week for the episode on the should games have an option to allow people to play in an easier mode. As I said, it's going to be an interesting conversation. But also, come back and join us on Tuesday when we release a mini episode for a movie spoiler discussion for the recent Uncharted film starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, linking into this week's episode of Dream Adaptations and Other Media, Video Game Adaptations and Other Media. But yes, thank you everyone for joining me today. It's actually been really nice to talk to you guys again. It's some really interesting adaptation ideas, to be honest. It's been really awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you, everybody. It's fun.
Thanks, everybody.
I've been your host, Nate. Stay safe, everyone, and we will see you next Tuesday. But for the main episode, we will see you next Friday. Stay safe, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.